Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. There is one simple moment involving Tian Xiwei that has suddenly caught fans' attention again, and somehow, it has brought one familiar name back into the conversation. Zhang Linghe. Not because they were seen together. Not because there was a new public statement. And not because either of them openly said anything about the other. Instead, it all started with something incredibly simple. Tian Xiwei had just finished work. And when a fan camera captured her after her activities ended, she looked noticeably different from the polished version we usually see on stage. She looked tired. Her movements seemed calmer. And for a moment, the cheerful image fans usually see seemed to disappear. What remained was simply an actress who had finished a long day of work and appeared ready to move on to her next destination. But then, fans started noticing. And from that simple video, another question began to emerge. Could this moment involving Tian Xiwei somehow remind fans of Zhang Linghe? Let's go back to the beginning. Recently, Tian Xiwei has once again attracted attention because of candid moments captured after her work activities. One of the most talked about moments came when her appearance looked noticeably different after finishing an event. Earlier, she had appeared with carefully prepared styling. Her hair, her makeup, her outfit. Everything looked perfectly prepared, just as we would expect from a major celebrity. But after the event ended, everything changed. She looked much more natural. And strangely enough, that small transformation was exactly what made people stop scrolling. Because there is something different about seeing a celebrity after the cameras are no longer part of the performance. There are no stage lights. No carefully prepared pose. No smile that has to be maintained for an event. Just Tian Xiwei. After finishing work. And perhaps that is exactly why moments like this feel so relatable to fans. For a few seconds, they were not looking at a celebrity. They were simply looking at someone who had just finished a long day. But then came the more interesting question. Why did Zhang Linghe's name suddenly enter the conversation? The answer is actually quite simple. Tian Xiwei and Zhang Linghe already have a history together that makes Lynxy fans pay close attention whenever either of them becomes the center of a viral moment. The two became widely recognized through their work together in. Their chemistry on screen attracted a large amount of attention. And since then, whenever one of them appears in a particularly interesting moment, fans often find themselves remembering the pair again. That is what makes this experiment so interesting. It is not about proving that Zhang Linghe is doing something for Tian Xiwei. Because, at this point, there is no public evidence that allows us to make that conclusion. It is not about claiming that Zhang Linghe knows how Tian Xiwei is feeling. There has been no confirmation of that either. The experiment is much simpler. When Tian Xiwei appears tired after finishing work, will fans once again discover a coincidence that reminds them of Zhang Linghe? And this is where things become interesting. Because in a fandom like Lynxy, sometimes a small detail does not remain just a small detail. One photo can become a discussion. One outfit can attract attention. One posting time can be compared. Even one facial expression can send fans back to older videos. And that is where the story becomes more emotional. Imagine this. Tian Xiwei has just finished working. The day may have been long. A fan camera captures her looking much more natural. Fans notice her expression. They notice the way she walks. They notice the change in her appearance after the event is over. And then, someone remembers Zhang Linghe. Another fan starts looking more closely. Then another. And slowly, an ordinary moment becomes a topic of discussion. Is there something we missed? Could this somehow be connected? Or perhaps, there is absolutely nothing behind it. Maybe Tian Xiwei was simply tired. Maybe Zhang Linghe has nothing to do with the moment. And that is exactly what makes this experiment so interesting. Because we are not starting with an answer. We are observing how a fandom interprets a moment. And if we look back at the Lynxy fandom over time, this kind of reaction is certainly not unfamiliar. Fans have previously noticed similarities in clothing. Some have compared posting times. Others have examined tiny details in photographs. And some have tried to connect separate moments that happened around the same period. But there is one line that should never be crossed. Fan interpretation is still fan interpretation. A coincidence does not automatically become evidence. A similarity does not automatically mean private communication. And a candid moment does not automatically contain a hidden story. That is why Tian Xiwei's latest moment becomes even more interesting when we look at it calmly. Because maybe there is no huge secret. Maybe there is no hidden message. Maybe Zhang Linghe was never involved in the situation at all. And yet, fans still feel something familiar. Something that reminds them of the chemistry between these two. And perhaps that is the power of a fandom. Not simply because fans pay attention to what their favorite celebrities say, but because they also pay attention to what they do not say. A glance, a gesture, a particular time, a coincidence. Everything can become part of the conversation. But there is another side of this story that makes the moment feel much more human. Tian Xiwei does not have to look perfect every second of the day. When someone works in front of cameras, the public usually sees the best version of that person. The hair is styled. The makeup is perfect. The outfit is carefully chosen. The smile is ready. But when the work is finally over, perhaps we get to see something much simpler. A person who simply wants to go home. And when fans see that side, their reaction is not necessarily just curiosity. There is also concern. Some fans wonder whether she is doing okay. Others say she looks exhausted. And many simply hope that she gets enough time to rest. And from there comes an even deeper question. Are fans really trying to find a connection between Tian Xiwei and Zhang Linghe? Or are they simply looking for a reason to talk about two people whose chemistry still remains so memorable to them? Maybe the answer is different for everyone. For some fans, this is simply a video of Tian Xiwei after work. Nothing more. Nothing less. For others, the moment immediately brings back memories of Lynxy. And for fans who closely follow both of them, one small moment can be enough to reopen an entire collection of memories about their past interactions. But there is one thing we should remember. We can be curious. We can enjoy the chemistry. We can discuss theories. But we should never turn speculation into certainty. And we should never say that Zhang Linghe is worried about Tian Xiwei without public evidence or a statement confirming it. Because sometimes, the most fascinating mysteries are the ones that do not have an answer yet. Maybe Zhang Linghe really has nothing to do with this moment. Maybe everything is simply a coincidence. Or maybe fans are noticing a pattern because they are already so familiar with the chemistry between the two. And that brings us back to the main question. Did Tian Xiwei really look exhausted after work, or was something else happening? Was Tian Xiwei simply tired after a long day of work? Or was there another detail that made fans think of Zhang Linghe and Lynxy again? Right now, there is no definitive answer. And perhaps that is exactly what makes this experiment so fascinating. Because sometimes a fandom does not need a major confession. They only need one small moment to reopen an old story. One video. One expression. One coincidence. And one name. Zhang Linghe. But now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Tian Xiwei was simply tired after finishing her activities? Or did this moment immediately make you think of Zhang Linghe and Lynxy? Do you think fans are reading too much into a simple coincidence? Or is it completely understandable for a fandom to notice these little details? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And remember, we can speculate. We can be curious. We can enjoy their chemistry. But we should always separate what we can actually see from what remains a fan theory. Because maybe the Lynxy story is not over. Maybe the next chapter simply has not begun yet. Until then, all we can do is wait, watch, and wonder. Is all of this really just a coincidence? Or is there something we have not noticed yet? See you in the next video.